Searching podcasts for Dave, and one more time.
Earlier in the week, Louisiana Governor Landry, upon learning that 4 amendments failed to pass in a special election, stated that it was hard to implement change in a state that is conditioned for failure. Well, what would you expect? Louisiana supports the New Orleans Saints, and these Guyans talk about low expectations. This is Dave and Juan.
And 3.
Number 2.
1.
Woohoo!
Bum. Release whatever we are going to release today. America, the long, long wait is over, and you are.
You're welcome.
Welcome. Absolutely welcome. Of course, the wait wasn't that long if you didn't listen to the last podcast until, say, this morning.
Right. It's different people, different times. But again, if they listen to this morning, and they might wait till next week to listen.
Correct. And what would they be listening to? Hi, everybody. How are you? I'm Dave.
I'm Juan.
And this is Dave and Juan.
More time.
Thank you. Hope everybody's having a great one out there. We're doing this on a Sunday. Got my church out the way. I know that's not the way you're supposed to say it. I know as those words come out of my mouth, that's not. I went
to church this morning. I was hating people driving up.
You were hating people what now?
As I was driving up.
You were hating on them?
So my church there's an 8:00 service and then a 9:30 service.
That's tight. That's a tight.
And I was going to say, that's tight. And my church they cut that early one short. Typically it's an hour and 15, hour and 20. So that one's just tight. Now look, so I'm going to the second one. And I just, as I'm driving up, I've resigned myself to the fact that I'm just going to the farthest spot in the parking lot to park. Okay. That's it. I'm here in between. I'd rather get here a little early than a little late. Well, then you got every yawn in the world who just parking in the parking lot waiting for somebody to get out of the other service. Or I'm sitting there, you go in, turn into the parking lot, and the car in front of me stops because she's waiting for somebody
to
pull out.
My friend Kurt Schwest used to call that sharking. That's what we did at Nichols State back in the day when you couldn't find a place to park at Nichols because there was never enough parking. And you drive around like a shark. You just drove and drove until you saw somebody pulling up. But that's just wrong. That shouldn't.
It's sad, and we've talked about this. The people who back in the spots annoy me.
I got no problem with that if you're not making it very inconvenient for me. You know what I mean?
Well, no, as long as I don't care either. As long as I'm not behind you,
I'm better off. I'm better at parking backwards than I am forwards. But yeah, we were at. What's worse? I guess that's another way you should say it. But if somebody says, I got church out the way. Okay. That seems like a slam, but hey, you went to church.
Yeah,
right?
You fulfilled your obligation.
That's one of those things. My wife, and I'm not. It doesn't apply to this for church because I actually like the church we go to. But I used to get that argument all the time, or sort of not a real argument, but sort of something I would make the comment on it. Like she'd want me to do stuff or go somewhere or whatever, and we've had this conversation before. A lot of times, no, given my choice, like me, myself, and if I had a choice, I'd probably more often than not, I ain't doing nothing. Yeah. And that's not even judging anybody. I feel a little bit like the old Mac Davis song. I cherish my own company, right? Right. So most of the time, if I am agreeing to do something, it's right. I might not have the level of enthusiasm that she may feel is warranted. And that's the argument. It'd be like, I think just agreeing to, but it's not just doing whatever. It's I got to be happy about it.
Yeah.
And happy to the point of where it looks like I'm happy. Not just so, I got to, so I got, not only I have to be a good actor on top of everything else. Now she's gotten better at that. Now she just realizes, okay, if you just shut up and don't make me miserable, that's a deal. Right. That's a,
Well, no, but I'm like, so yeah, my wife has a friend who comes in, every couple of months or whatever. And she's in visiting her mom this week. And so they typically go to dinner, just them. And I joked not too long ago that I had never been invited to one of those dinners.
oh, that's a
Um,
mistake. That's a
well,
mistake.
so yesterday was, you want to come to dinner? And I said, is her husband in it? Not that would make me want to go anymore. Um, she said no. I said, well, no. Why would I want to come?
So you're inviting me to be the third wheel,
Yeah.
but yeah, you brought it up, man. You asked. So she's doing her part. But yeah, kind of circling back on the church thing. So today the gospel, I guess, was it was the prodigal son, right? That was our and I know it's been explained to me. So I'm an old man. I've been to church a lot, and let's just say that we only really cover that. Now I've had that conversation with others, but and it's been explained to me. But I always find myself siding with the older son.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like I know, and even the guy, the priest today was great, given they tell you why and forgiveness and all this other stuff. But I'm to this day, I'm like, I'm not gonna hate on the older son.
Right, man. It's you getting a big old party, killing the fatted calf.
It's like, wait a minute.
Yeah, we've been eating the skinny calves while I've been here.
Wait. This my little brother, this Chew, you gave him his share, his money already. He went off, hung out with hookers and whatever. And I've been busting my butt.
Right. And I'm sure he's gonna get another share.
They never cover that, right? They never come. They never cover that part. So now, hang on now. You came back, you celebrated, but are you going to make him work now? Is he going to be
did you put my share in the lockbox?
Exactly. So wait a minute. So what this guy does? So yeah, if I'm the older brother, I'm like, oh, so he gets my cut. So he's going to end up getting 3/4 of what was coming to us instead of half. And it's like, I get it, Dad, but come on. Did they ever tell you in the story where's the mom?
No. Dude, women were a dime a dozen in the Old Testament.
Maybe so. I don't know that that's the the angle we want to take there. I'm sure my wife would.
Well, I don't mean a dime a dozen. Look, men had many wives.
Well, so whatever the story,
even more concubines.
Yeah. I don't know if that was the story here. But I do know.
I know, but I've often wondered that. Ask your wife that. If like King Solomon, I think it was, had a gazillion wives and several, nearly half as many concubines. Well, why didn't he just have all wives?
I don't know. I wasn't there, Juan. I don't know. So biblical studies with Dave and Juan. It's sort of our version of Veggie Tales.
Yeah.
But yeah, I like, and I love things that always got me too. So we're gonna kill the fatted calf. So I guess that's the one that that
was the special one.
That's the one they've been keeping. Like one of these days, that's like the good bottle of wine that you're waiting to break out.
Waiting for the festival.
One of these days, we're gonna kill that fatted. But you can't keep a fatted calf forever because it becomes a cow. So it's not like you can keep a fatted calf.
Well, maybe they gave him the good food, like the good grass to eat or something. Maybe grass-fed meat or something.
Maybe so. But then the guy comes back and he has his servants put the finest robe and a ring. A ring. You know what I'm saying? Like that's old school, right? That's stone cold pimping there, man. Hey, my son's back. Put him in a robe and put a ring on his finger. Yeah. And that's all party. So yeah, I know. And the priest today, described why and who. He was actually pretty good talking about, you really shouldn't be. You definitely don't want to be the younger brother. And he talked about that. And it's kind of funny. He said he was not a good guy. I just love that. We got the priest we have is I forget I don't know if he's Vietnamese or what it is, but he's cool. Like him a lot, and his English is pretty good. But he sort of cuts. when somebody they speak well, you can understand what they're saying, but the phrases sometimes get a little chopped up. But I actually like that because it's blunt and to the point. He's not a
You
good
got to
guy.
pay attention though.
Yeah, not a good guy. Not a good guy. But so, end of the day, kind of in which you don't want to be either one of them. You want to follow Jesus. And I missed some of it. I think I was too busy sitting there again in my head. Yeah, man.
See, maybe he gave that explanation.
That big brother's getting screwed, man. I mean, but anyway, so there you go. And I don't think I was mad at anybody on the way out of church. I think it was although today in church, man, I know we're talking a lot about church, but it's just what happened today. It's kind of funny to me.
Life.
So there's this parish we go to now, and I actually like the fact that they almost never have a second collection, which is always right. So it's always hit that first collection, hit it big. And then today, randomly, it's like, we got a second collection today, but they never said what it was for. Right?
That's just for extra money.
Well, you know what? I would have been enthusiastic about throwing in extra for them because it's a great little parish. But I just think that if you say, hey, there's a second collection today, what are we doing?
Right.
What? We're covering somebody's gambling bets? What are we doing? Help me out here.
It could be. It's, or maybe once you'll see at my church, the last Sunday of the month, they don't do a second collection, but you can do two different things. And one is they call it Kingdom Builders, and it's for
Kingdom Builders
for outreach and stuff.
Dude, that sounds like
so you just kind of flag it a little bit differently if you.
I was going to say it sounds like
also
like a scam.
Do y'all give through the envelope and everything, right?
Well, actually, we're in a different parish now, and it used to be automatic, right? Just faith. It's called Faith Direct. And which means whether I go to church or not, whether I'm at I'm at somebody else's church and you feel obliged to throw money in their collection plate,
you're doubling.
They're still jacking me, but we haven't set that up in the new parish yet. So
gotcha. No, so I just give through an app basically, and you can do it for recurring giving, but I just hit on the app. So when they pass the bucket around, I will often look in the bucket to see, very few people in my church put anything in it.
Right.
And it's all, electronic giving. But,
I know that Faith Direct thing we've used. They recognize that, and they actually give you a bunch of little cards. It's got your name on it and stuff. You can keep it. So if you want to put something in the basket or whatever. And, it's kind of funny because even the times I've used that, part of me feels, all right, I don't think I should feel obliged to have to do this because, I'm afraid somebody looking over saying, look at this guy.
Well, that, I guess, is what it's for. That's pretty.
It's 100% what it's for. They don't care. I guarantee you they throw those things away. They could give a rat's behind whether or not you gave the little card that does nothing. It's just got your name on it and says, they still get paid. I mean, I know it sounds jaded, but yeah, that's all that's for. That's just for you to be able to say.
So, because you're virtue signaling.
Because 100%, it's virtue signaling. But what was funny too, so this church here, and we're going back to this one that I actually like it a lot. It's where my kids made their first communion all those years ago. It's a smaller church. I just like it. I like the vibe. I like it. And they last week. I also I don't know. The older you get, I like churches with old population. Now a lot of churches are now basically a lot of young but older folks. But the people doing the collections and the baskets. Hey, look, I'm not a young guy, all right, but I think I could take all these guys like at the same time. If there was a throwdown. I'm pretty sure I could. Well, no, actually, we got one guy who looks about my age. He could probably take me out. But so,
look, dude, when you pass the collection in church, or that's how we used to refer to it, as passing the collection.
Yeah.
That's pretty much a lifelong gig. That
they don't give it up.
Pope on the Supreme Court. You got the job. It don't come off open.
We went in the other day, and so we're sitting there, and you'd have to see how this church is laid out. And I actually and I'm glad my wife puts up with me now, but if you give me an option of a place to sit besides a pew, I take it. And off to the side, not far from the choir of this church, there's a couple of benches padded benches, nice benches, but that's my spot, right? I know they mean like if we walk in and that's open, that's what I take, but it's kind of tucked away. So we're there, and my wife makes the, she writes the check. And, I said this before. I, through her, am far more generous than I would normally be, right? I find out on a regular basis of how generous I am, because we are a team. I have no idea what's going on, but so she'll write the checks. And, she just, and she'll shame me when I say like, what, how much? And she says, oh, it's not. So whatever. So we don't argue about that anymore. So but she gave me the check. So I'm sitting there waiting. And this old guy walks right by, and he's got the basket, and I'm holding out the check. He just doesn't even make eye contact with me. Walks right by, and keeps on going, to the point that there was some people sitting over from us. They were kind of laughing like they don't want your money. And this is last week. I'm thinking, I guess we don't look like we gonna give anything. I mean, how does that work? And then I start getting a little annoyed, like, hey, bro, I guarantee you this check, I bet you I got that pew right there. Like,
you want this one?
I bet you'd have been better off skipping that pew right there than walking by me. So I just stuck the check in my wallet and said, well, I guess y'all missed out. We were in church this week, and I was just gonna give them the check from last week, right?
Hey.
My wife called me out on it, voided it, and she doubled up on the check this week, which made me a little bit, not annoyed, but.
Well, I would have at least written a second check and write on the memo of the first one, you skipped me last week.
That's right. How about you hit me next time? And, oh, by the way, don't get this number and say, oh, look, man, look at what the Martins are bringing. No. No. That was doubling up on you there, but all good. And I know it's bad to be this way, but one of the other things I really, really like about this priest in this church, they do everything. They get everything covered, man. I mean, you dot every I, you cross every T, you sing every song, and bro, you're out of there in an hour. I mean,
we don't do that. Yeah, well,
man, listen, I miss that. And I know, just like when I started off saying I got church out of the way, that's not the way to say it, but I do.
Well, mine's a pretty, it's a,
do appreciate it.
It's not a fixed time, but it's pretty tight because they've got the countdown clock on the wall behind you.
Ah, well, let's see. Hey, okay, so that's about 15, 20 minutes on church, y'all. We'll probably come back to that. More biblical studies with Dave and Juan.
Amen.
Amen. So we're looking at this this morning. I was thinking something popped up here. Taking care of yourself doesn't have to be complicated. Micro habits and macro results. They have a daily checklist to transform your life, Juan. This is see how many of these we do to keep ourselves, I guess, healthy and happy.
Well, guess none for me.
You might not. It's just the things you can do to improve. Micro habits. Drink just 1 glass of water as soon as you wake up. It rehydrates your body and kickstarts your metabolism. I don't think I do that.
No, I mean, I drink water during the day. I drink water during the night.
Well, I don't know. I usually am getting rid of water during the night. I'm not typically.
Yeah, but I mean, like if I get up to go to the restroom, or
fill up
if I
again?
wake up, I got a glass a night on my nightstand.
So I might try to start remembering that before my first coffee. I'll at least drink a little bit of water. Go for a walk. Just move, walk, bike, run, whatever. Do daily. 10 minutes, even 10 minutes improves heart health. You do a 10-minute walk every day?
No.
All right. I think I might. I think I try. Make one connection.
But before you do anything in the morning?
No. This is just any time during the day.
Oh, anytime. I need to start doing that though.
Yeah. Say one connection. Says nothing contributes to our health and happiness like a human connection, Juan. Talk to someone close to you, even if by phone. Well, I talk to somebody every day.
I talk to my wife every morning.
I don't think that counts. I don't think our wives count because that's just, they count, but not, I don't know.
That's the default?
I guess. All right, we'll count that one. We'll say that. One session outside, whether it's your walk or just sitting and breathing, got to go outside at least one time a day.
I walk to my car.
You walk to your car. I don't know if that counts. I don't know that. I read something a while back that said how beneficial it is. They call it grounding to walk barefoot on dirt or grass.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, just go stand there. I don't know. My granola boy used to do that where you just go stand and kind of grip your toes in the grass down to the ground.
It's supposed to be. Yeah, I don't know.
Something about centering you and
I did it a couple of well, okay. It says do one set of push-ups, do as many as you can, or substitute a plank.
I don't think I could do a push-up.
I mean, I would. It says do as many as you can, but then I would never get to do anything the rest of the day. Juan, I'd be like, cause I just be doing push-ups all day
You
long.
need to push this. Yeah, you got to put a limit on that,
I
man.
gotta give me a limit, man.
When you're limitless,
Yeah, once I get to like 800, I mean, it gets boring.
get
Um,
up and drink a glass of water.
It says 1 minute of breathing between calls or tasks. Breathe deeply for 1 minute. It calms your nervous system and helps you shift gears for clarity. I try to breathe all during the day. I don't know that I ever take
I try to not stop.
as a general rule. Yeah. But it says you should have one gratitude thought. Write down or share one thing you're grateful for.
When I get one, I'll let you know.
One of these days, when I'm ever grateful for anything, I'm going to write it down. I'm going to write it down. It says read one chapter or article for something you're interested in. Read.
No,
Ugh.
no.
Want me to read? I read some stuff. Not to have a healthy snack. Replace one processed snack with fruits or vegetables each day. I have an occasional banana. Does that count?
I'm not. I'm not.
And not you, huh? You ain't. You're not a fruit guy. One screen-free hour. Find an hour when you can commit. First thing and dinner, like so. Spend at least an hour during the day without looking at a screen.
I wish I could. I don't think I can.
You mean just because of work?
No,
demands,
just because of me. I don't know what. Well, I guess it depends. Like it's just rare that I have. Yeah, I can sit down half the day without the TV on, but then I'm messing with my computer or
Yeah, it's a screen.
Yeah.
Yeah. I guess when I ride my bike, if I ride my bike,
yeah.
I'm not on a screen because if I'm walking, I'm gonna, I'm bored.
I wouldn't be on. Yeah, no, I'd fall.
Or
down.
I'll be listening to the radio or a podcast or something.
Oh, well, does that count?
As screen time?
Yeah.
I don't know. I'm not gonna dwell too much on that. I guess do one thing just for fun.
Well, I do this.
That's right. Listen, it's every day though. We don't do it every day. It says, no. It says listen or dance to your favorite song. Play Wordle, pet the dog, watch a video. Just do a thing. Well, that's my day, bro. I mean, like,
I mean, well,
I spend my day looking for fun stuff to do.
Yeah, I watch fun stuff.
Yeah, I see other people having fun. And then it says bedtime. Stick to as consistent a bedtime as you can.
Yeah, we do that pretty well.
You do that? I'm trying to. I guess mine's going to vary depending on if I have to go somewhere the next day or. But so just a little checklist here. Looks like me and you ought to live forever.
No, I don't do much of that. I'm trying though. It's funny because during the week I told my wife, I said, we need to get a hobby. Doing something together.
Wait, you told your wife you need a hobby together?
Yeah.
Bro, what's wrong? What's gotten into you? Hang on. You told her you tried to get yourself invited to a dinner with her friend. Now you saying with your wife you have to, dude, you got a terminal illness you didn't tell us about yet?
I don't know, because we're gonna be, pretty much empty nesters soon. So, but she said like reading. And I said, well, obviously we don't need to do a hobby together if that's your idea of a hobby.
Yes, honey. Let's start a book club.
It ain't gonna be reading. So
let's me and you start a book club.
Yeah, but
and yesterday, share memes.
I don't know. Her and Riley were out shopping, so by myself most of the day yesterday. So I decided I'm gonna do some reorganizing in my garage, and my bike had a flat, so I said, all right, I'm gonna take it down and mount it on the wall, and I'm gonna fix it so I can start enjoying the weather and getting out and doing some stuff.
Right.
So I'm at least getting the intentions of to do some of those things on the list, but then I got a relatively new neighbor. And I see her and an older guy who I figured was her dad, taking a couch out of their truck to move it into her house. And I'm working in the garage, and I said, don't make eye contact. Don't make eye contact, man. Don't make eye contact. And dang it, I made eye contact. And I said, oh, y'all need some help? And he said, oh, that'd be great. And so I go over there, and I'm lugging this couch in, and it's like not a good way to put it in. And then she's directing it. And
Oh man, getting a
yeah,
couch into a house
dude,
is.
I know, small door. And I'm saying, okay, here's the best way to do it.
Was
Just
it a
put
new couch
blanket.
or was it an old couch?
It wasn't brand new, but it wasn't old.
So you touching
The
on something that somebody else has been sleeping on. Like that's the other thing too. It's like, man, I'm messing with your bedding, basically. And
Yeah,
I'm
well,
grossing out.
the so I said, just okay, look, here's when we get close to the door, just put a blanket there, and then we'll stand it up and corner it into the door, and then just slide it across the floor.
Correct.
Oh, I don't want to slide it on the floor. I don't want it.
I don't want to slide it on the floor.
Yeah.
Well,
And we
how,
got a blanket underneath. Well, I'd rather just carry it. So, well, here you go.
well, I'd rather just go back to my house and get back to my garage.
Yeah, close my garage.
Jeez. Well,
Dude, I
yeah.
was exhausted after that.
Yeah. Well, but hey, you got your good deed done.
I got my good deed.
You got your good deed.
Then the other neighbor comes over and starts making suggestions. And I said, Don't come here when I'm halfway done and start, coaching.
I got a new neighbor coming in. I mentioned this a couple weeks ago, maybe even longer. And this is gonna sound bad, but it's not meant to be bad. But it's a question I have is like, can you dislike neighbors before they even move in?
Oh, heck yeah.
And here's the reason. And it's a dumb reason, man. I will admit right now that I've got a little bit of annoyance built up with my new neighbors for a terrible reason. They have spent too much money on that house that they bought, making the rest of us feel like, like I want to walk over and say, you guys are just too good for this neighborhood because
what are they doing?
Bro, first of all, they're not even in the house yet. I met the guy once. He's a younger guy. He's probably about 10, 15 years younger than me, maybe more. I got the stories. He got 2 daughters in private school, of course, and I forget what him and his wife do. Hey, nice dude. Nice dude. But man, when I say it's been 2 months now, solid, maybe more. Okay, the entire front yard, whatever they had there, they took out trees and old. They totally resodded, totally redid the front yard. They outdid the facade of the house is brick, and it's standard brick. It was pretty brick. It's the bricks that most everybody has. He had it done like they come in and they wash with something, and then they make it look more like a
like whitewashed.
Not quite whitewashed, but it's sort of like. So if you saw the house before and saw it now, you'd say like, oh, and apparently that's the thing now. Like the ritzy neighborhoods all have this thing. So God knows what that cost. Okay. And the other thing is I know he didn't get that approved by the HOA. And as much as you and I hate HOAs, even though you sit on one, I know that wasn't approved by the HOA. Then it's just been, it looks like they gutted the house. I mean, they look like they've changed the floors. They've totally repainted everything. Dude, they were doing duct work, AC duct work in there the other day. What else? Every day it's a different crew. And my head's just going cha-ching, cha-ching, cha-ching. Yesterday it was the Seamless Gutter Company out here putting new gutters all around. Bro, if this guy hasn't dropped 200 large on this house, and that's, that doesn't make me a very good person because you should be.
Dude, this is so and granted, it's been 7 years since I've lived here, but the people who bought my last house, again, I changed the carpet in the house. I mean, all downstairs was floor or was wood and tile, but I changed the carpet upstairs because my real estate agent said, no, don't, it'll sell better if you do that as opposed to giving an allowance. Right. They ripped the carpet out like 2 weeks after they bought it.
You paid for it, right? You paid for it.
Yeah, and they threw it away.
And they ripped it out, yeah.
But they did, they changed all the bricks to white, changed every window in the house to a window with a black frame.
Oh, yeah, they changed the windows. They changed every window in this house as well. Yes. I've had that done. It ain't cheap.
No.
It ain't. New windows ain't cheap, bro.
No, because I had like in the back, I had like like 2-story, like floor to ceiling windows, and it's like, man, you sit down and say that dude had a whole lot more money than me.
There you go. And maybe it's an envy thing. But part of me is like, dude, did you look at Zillow what the houses go for here? Now we don't listen. We don't live in the fanciest neighborhood, but we don't live in a terrible neighborhood. In fact, that's part of what we like about this neighborhood.
Yeah,
It's not expensive enough to keep the rich Jews that you don't want to live next to.
right. But it's
They're not,
expensive enough that nobody's coming in
but
and
it's
hooding it
expensive
up.
enough that you're not typically worried about. Of course, we said before, like the problem we've had is that it's an older neighborhood, so a lot of people they fall in love with their house. They get old. They go either to a smaller house or they go somewhere and they don't want to sell the house, so they lease the houses. That's
Oh
the
yeah, you don't want that.
Now we've been pretty fortunate that that's not happening right now. But yeah, I know that seems kind of odd that I'm aggravated with a neighbor already that I don't really know because stop spending money because it makes me feel terrible about some of the stuff in my house. Like some of the little things you're like, I should
Yeah,
fix
like,
that.
I thought I had a nice house.
I get used to stuff. There's a water stain right now in my the entranceway to my you walk in. Like if you look up straight at the roof, there's water stains from something that what was it? Well, one was a long time ago. My son did something with a bathtub. He's over. I don't know what.
Yeah, I had that.
All right, and you just forget about it, man, because we never use that. We never use the. Honestly, we almost like we walk out the front door maybe to go to the mailbox, but almost nobody, but uses the front door, and it's like every now and then I look up and say, "Oh dang, I still got water stains in my."
Just get your little kills up there and throw some paint on it. You'll be fine.
I thought about that one, and you'd have thought I'd have done that sometime in the last year, two. No, just forget. So, but that's what's going to happen. I'm going to get shamed. I have to go. But what we end up doing, and we're talking about it more and more, building up to all right, we got to bite the bullet and get stuff done, and
Yeah, that's a bullet I don't ever want to bite again.
yeah, you normally get there until you start getting the pricing, and you go, oh, I can live with that.
Oh yeah, yeah. It's we're talking about money. So my daughter's school, they always do, like I guess the fall sports has an event, and then the spring sports have an event. And it's like an awards event. So they just all come out, and all of them get together, and then they divide off. It's always at school, and each team has its own little awards thing.
Okay.
Well, this year they thought they were going to make it nice. They're going to do an athletic banquet, have a guest speaker and everything.
Oh boy.
Yeah, no. And it's at full on banquet, so they're having it at the casino in town, or one of the casinos.
Okay.
So if you buy tickets at a table, just general admission, $75 a person.
Okay. That's better be a
Or
nice.
you could get a whole table of 10 for $900 or $90 a chair, $90 a seat. And I'm sitting here saying, well, couldn't they have just done something in the gym? Yeah. So I got to go spend $200 on this thing. But then the other side of me is saying, okay, $75 to sit with people I don't know, $90 a ticket to sit with people I know. How about 110 to sit by just us?
That's right. I gave you 200 if you don't make me go.
Yeah.
Right? Just buy your man. We do things differently now. I thought this morning or yesterday because you got friends our age. I mean, you got grandkids now. I mean, I don't have grandkids, but you watch all these people posting and the younger friends of ours with kids that are still at that age and posting stuff online, videos of their kids doing this and that. And I mean, like the one now is like baseball. Anytime, like if a kid gets a home run, it's almost like they got a professional shot watching. And I'm thinking, dude, kids today, and I'm talking about even the ones that aren't even good. Hey, don't take this personal. Everybody out there, your kids are wonderful. Your kids are the best thing in the world. I get it. But even the kids that they ain't no all-star team, you're not hitting a home run off of some future major leaguer. you're playing in a little crap league, and your kid teed off on somebody who's probably the third string pitcher because his dad's the assistant coach.
Well, but they also have things. The pastor at my church, his son is a pretty good football player, and I'll see him post, which basically looks like a highlight reel
Yes,
of the game of
yes,
his
they're
son.
reels.
And so I asked him, I said, dude, are you like shooting the whole game and then go home and edit it? Oh no, there's a service we use.
It's a service we look, dude. Hey, I man, and well, I'm watching this and I'm seeing all these things, and I'm thinking, back in our day. So I played bitty basketball. Trying to think, we didn't have as far as sports. I guess we had baseball outside of school, but there was no football outside of school. So if you played football,
Yeah,
that was
no, that was nothing. Well, that was like community softball league or whatever.
whatever. But yeah, but so when I was a kid, it was basically. I guess some people played little league. I didn't play little league because that was way over in Golden Meadow, bro. And I lived in Galliana at the time, and I think we had one car, and I think my dad worked summer school, so I didn't have a ride. All right, I wasn't going to go, so I didn't play baseball. But basketball was close enough and in season, so we played bitty basketball. Dude, we play an entire season, including playoffs and championships. You got one picture taken of you that year.
Oh yeah,
You'd have one team picture. If
yeah. You might have had an individual where you down on a knee with your hand on the basketball.
They didn't do that till late, man. And not when I first started. You had that one team, and don't blink, because
What no retakes.
for the rest of eternity, you're gonna be that slow looking, that you can look like that special kid on the end of the bench with your eyes half closed. Man, look. And I say it was a different time. I'd find pictures of the teams I was on. I forgot I was on, but you had that one picture. Now everything's documented. They got soundtracks behind it. Yeah. So different times. What
Well,
else?
talking about down the bayou. So one of the things we do, and I guess you could call this a hobby. I don't know. My wife and I watch we watch TV together. And yeah, every now and then we'll go down the cheap, I guess it's just what I call white trash TV, when we're looking for something to watch.
My wife
so
likes
this week,
my wife likes white trash TV.
yeah, well, so I don't know, a couple of weeks, we don't have Hulu normally, but we got it to watch something. You got the 30-day free trial. And so it's like, all right, well, what's on here? Let's see what we got. They had, Life After Prison, Gypsy Rose.
Oh God.
Whatever. So the Gypsy Rose is her family's from Cutoff. The Basically the show starts when she got out of prison at the beginning of last year, and she had married some big idiot dude who like a prison husband.
There we go.
The wedding lasted, or the marriage lasted, less than 3 months after her getting out of prison. But the best part of it, or the part that I loved, and even wrote this down, was, her dad wanted her to go spend time with him and his wife, her stepmom, just her, because he had never had that, I guess, or since she was like a little kid. But so the husband was all ticked off, and they have him saying, "Of course she's gonna love it. Cutoff is like Disneyland. It's a fairy tale down there." I said, I guarantee you, he's the first and only person to ever describe Cutoff as Disneyland.
You know what though? Where's this cat from?
Lake Charles.
Dude, Cutoff is a mystical place. Is it mystical? It's mythical. Hang on.
Well, it depends.
Could be mystical, could be mythical. Bro, it's a magic place. Hey, Cutoff is like Disneyland. There you go. Shout out Cutoff. You didn't even know it. You didn't even know it. I
keep trying to figure out what, because they do the I guess the drone shots going down the bayou whenever they're in Cutoff. I keep trying to figure out what side they live on.
Look, so talking about I was at a, you know, like money fundraiser stuff like that. So I was fortunate enough. I was invited by a really good friend of mine um, to I guess a fundraising sort of luncheon, but it was mostly for people, I guess, that had already given a bunch of money. It wasn't me. I just got invited to sit at the table, but it was up in the Woodlands here, north of Houston. If you don't know the Woodlands is like our version of, it's like the Houston version of Dallas. The Woodlands is money. I mean, like, and it was at this the Marriott, nice Marriott Conference Center.
Well, I think a lot of people here may be familiar with the Woodlands from the pavilion, the concert pavilion, I
Yeah,
guess.
Cynthia Woods. In
Cynthia,
fact,
yeah.
the hotel where this event was pretty much adjacent to Cynthia Woods Pavilion, and super nice, super. Oh man, the money in that room. Yeah, you know, I can make it a point that I can pretty much swim in any waters. You know, I'm you know,
Yeah.
I'm kind of comfortable in my own skin, and I can play like anybody else. And it's funny to watch like the people I know who are just really cool, very nice, sincere people, who just happen to be pretty
Yeah.
well off. And then others that you know they're well off, but they show that they're well off, right? You know, you
They
can
want you
kind
to
of
know.
yeah, you kind of get so it's a different vibe, right? It's like the person I know, like man, super sweet people that you just love to death, and I know they do well, and then the others that want. But anyway, there was it's kind of interesting. I'm sitting there, and there's, you know, Ted Cruz's wife and
Oh,
Congressman
wow.
here. Oh no, dude. I mean, it was honoring, you know, this guy that I know, good dude. You know, I'm not gonna, but you know, yeah, but it
Mm-hmm.
was
Sure.
a all out of it. So at my table, I get introduced by my friend who invited me to be there. This young lady, and she was there with her husband, who's like an investment guy. And she says, "Oh, I got introduced, you know, to this person saying, hey, here's another one of my Louisiana friends." And it's so funny how when you're in any place fancy or either professional or real fancy, and it's almost like, hey, I got somebody from Louisiana. And she was like, and she was from Louisiana too. And she was just like, oh, and then she started talking to me. And I stopped and I said, you know, I noticed that you seem kind of surprised and you immediately slowed down when you were talking to me.
You
Like,
said
oh,
that?
I told her that. Yeah. I said, you know, I was having fun. Well, it turns out, and she was really cool. And then she thought she was going to out Louisiana me. Right. She was like, well, I know where you from. I'm like, you tell me first. Where you? And she was from Algiers. And I'm like, yeah.
Oh, that ain't, yeah.
I said, Algiers counts. Try cut off. She went, and then it was like, oh, yeah, you from Louisiana. Yeah, you're right. Don't try to out Louisiana. We were joking about that. But apparently, this person, her family's big in the oyster business. And
Oh, okay.
so I'm just dropping names. I said, you guys supply Drago? She goes, oh, they're dear friends. They're dear family friends. And I'm like, all of a sudden, I find myself in a really rich person conversation that I didn't try to get into. Like, I was like, I've exhausted my knowledge of the
Yeah,
subject
yeah.
now, but ended up sitting next to her husband, super nice guy, super successful, originally from Algiers as well. And I asked, how did you guys end up here in Houston in the Woodlands? And it was Katrina. He was they've
Okay.
been here. Yeah, I was like, well, you know, and it was always kind of interesting because you always had the thing about, you know, all the people that left New Orleans for Katrina, and a lot of it was just, you know, like parts of town that were wiped out, like housing projects and stuff. So people were like,
Right, right. It was people who, yeah, a lot of people were okay that they left.
well, and then they got other places. And what I found with a lot of folks that were sort of barely getting by in New Orleans, once they were forced to leave, and they ended up in places like Houston or San Antonio or Austin or Dallas, looked around and went, oh, they got jobs here.
Yeah.
Like I can, so I knew a lot of those stories, but yeah, I kind of joke with them. I say, oh, I'm sorry, man, you didn't strike me as what I would normally think was a Katrina refugee, but but yeah, super cool people, super nice.
Nice.
But yeah, I am not making this up, bro. We're sitting there having this lunch, and I'm realizing I'm sitting, and I forget the other people there, but there were some people that you could tell I mean, if you ask me if like, what does their normal week look like? I'd probably say they probably go to 3 or 4 fundraising functions a week. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like you with that kind of crowd. And I'm looking down regularly to make sure I'm still using the right utensil, like, because you put me,
Yeah, I'm still. If you go to stuff like that, I got to let somebody else drink first because I don't know which glass to take.
or to start, or because look, if I'm just left on my own, I'm going to use the same fork, and I might wipe it off.
Lick it
Yeah,
off.
I'll either lick it off or wipe it off, but that's the one I'm sticking with. I mean,
Lick the butter off the bread knife.
I am not changing utensils as I go through the meal. Or I was getting ready to tear into my salad, and I realized, oh, everybody else is cutting up their salad, I guess, because my move is just stab it and just shove it in
Right,
your
my
mouth.
mouth is pretty big. I can fit it in there.
Exactly, man. I can put a full spinach leaf in my mouth. I mean, I'm not supposed to. I'm a guest, and I need to act like I belong. But then what are the odds that I end up sitting next to the 2 people from Algiers? I'm just saying, I think there was some
Comparing accents. So,
yeah.
well, that's what Joey said the other night when we were watching that Gypsy Rose thing. She said, "I like the way her dad talks." I said, "You mean his accent?" She said, "Yeah." I said, "Have you seen the podcast?"
Man, I think I'm playing it on Tika these days too.
Yeah.
I get that a lot. I went through a big stage in my life where I didn't get it as much as I get it now. People are like, "Where you from?" I said, "I don't know. I just I feel like I'm playing a character sometimes now." And the hard part is when you
It's
get
odd
into
because I don't think I sound more South Louisiana to people who aren't from South Louisiana
sure.
than I do to people who are from South Louisiana.
Yeah, because I end up playing, and it's my thing, and that's the funny thing too. Is a big part of my work is giving speeches. Right? It's like, sort of like, it's like, who is this clown? But that's the other thing too that people don't even realize. They do it in a well-meaning way. On most of them, honestly. But when you get introduced to somebody, and part of the introduction is you got to hear this guy talk. It's like I'm a circus animal
Yeah, that's great. I am a public speaker for a living.
doing tricks. I know.
Oh, that's not what you meant?
Bro, believe it or not, some people sometimes they pay me to get up there and
Yeah.
talk.
Yeah, it's
And
like if you really want to hear me talk, you better break out the checkbook.
man, you're right. I slow down and enunciate words for a check.
Yeah.
If I'm just gonna stand here and shoot the breeze with y'all, I am putting no thought or effort into my elocution.
Yeah.
Or other words I can't spell. But so good time. What else is happening here, man? Stuff I was
No,
jotting
but did
down.
you see or have you noticed talking about speaking and things like that? It seems like and we hadn't talked to any politics, which is surprising and good, but it seems like the Democratic Party has decided that the reason they lost the last election was because of a lack of cursing.
A lack of cursing, correct?
Yes.
They must have. They had to what focus group that. I mean, what? Who do you think? A good point. I actually heard there's somebody during the week I heard talking a bit about that. It doesn't it does nothing to make you sound better. It's don't get me wrong. We'll cuss all the time, but not to make
Right. And that's
a
what somebody
political
said.
point.
They said it's theater and it sounds as unoriginal or as inauthentic as anything.
Yeah.
You got Chuck Schumer over there dropping the F word, which he's probably never said, bless him, as though, he's on a ship.
But that also tells you what they think of just average people,
Right.
voters. That like that's how dumb people think you are. Oh, here's what we're not doing enough of.
Yeah.
We ain't cussing. Let's be hip. Let's be because we can't do the podcast. So that's the other thing too. They can't, and none of them can do podcasts for whatever reason. I guess they can't keep a conversation going for any amount of time. But and a lot of podcasts out there, they do drop, language. Juan and I do not because we're family.
We
friendly.
do not.
We are family friendly. We try. We want those of you that have youngins or just don't like cuss words. We enjoy cuss words. We just use them off.
I'm pretty good at it.
I have a few myself. But they were talking politics, and I don't know exactly what happened. I just saw it a while ago, and I texted a buddy of mine who's involved with this because I did have a line about there was another few sightings this past week of Jeff Landry Blue. There were a couple of events where, like, ah, there's my man. My man's got that. There's some pretty suits, but they stand out. Everybody's standing. Everybody's got some version of Navy, some version of conservative Navy. And my man,
He's
it's
got a
not
little electric in his
a
blue.
little electric. It's not sky blue. It's cobalt. I don't know, but he
Right? No, it's just there's just some little pop.
with a yellow tie, man, that makes you like, now granted, hey, could be a PR move. It's like, I'm going to, that might be the thinking is you're going to find me in any picture I'm in. I'm going to be that guy wearing that shade. But
Well, blue and
apparently,
yellow are pleasing colors. That's why you see a lot of people use blue and yellow on political signs.
okay. So no, like I said, not even throwing shade, just making an observation that our friend the governor he likes a different he likes playing in that slightly different portion of the crayon box, right? 64 crayons. He's over on this side. He's like,
I think he might be in the 128.
128. Okay, so I go with that. But apparently, the state of Louisiana disappointed our governor. I say, I don't live there
big
anymore.
time.
I've got family and friends, and property in Louisiana, but I live here in Texas. But so apparently there were 4 things.
4 amendments, and I went vote, which I typically
You typically wouldn't.
I typically wouldn't, but because there are certain people who were against it that made me for it, I went yesterday in the rain and voted for all 4 of them.
You voted in the rain.
Yeah.
You went, so that's an important thing. Well, apparently, none of these amendments passed.
No, not even close.
So, and then now they're giving our boy some grief, and they're piling on because his comments. He was a little honest, is what he said. He said he claimed that he was disappointed, but it's not over. But he claimed that Louisiana is conditioned for failure.
Hey, good on him.
I know.
I didn't know. I hadn't seen any of his.
Yeah, he basically was saying, like, I mean, the point he was making was it's hard to make changes when you got people that are conditioned for failure. Now, oh, Lord, the people that are losing their minds about, are you calling us failures? And it's like, nah, it's not quite what he said. It's not quite what he said.
One of the amendments said, one would have renewed some tax or kept something on there that they never give teachers a raise, but they throw $2,000 a year at it, and it's a stipend thing. So you get the money, but it's not locked in from year to year. So he said that you're in danger of this going away. But one of the ones that some people found controversial was that it gave more flexibility on what juvenile crimes could be charged, or what crimes committed by juveniles could be charged as adults.
Okay.
And so the anti-community or anti-Jeff Landry community said this was racist, and he was just trying to imprison more African-American young men.
Even though I'm going to bet, I am, again, I'm not in Louisiana. I could not vote on this thing. I'm going to bet that nowhere in the amendment or whatever they're trying to pass, the resolution, whatever, constitutional
amendment. Yeah.
Amendment, all right. I'm going to bet nowhere in there did it reference anything about race, sex, gender. No. I'm going to bet all it referenced was age.
Yeah.
So age is also now racist and sexist. And the
defense is, if your teenage son shoplifts, he may get charged as an adult. It's like, well, here's the solution to that.
Don't shoplift. Just right. We never really thought of that. Like not committing crime is not
Well, part of it here, and I guess anywhere, you know, the organizations we have, not the gangs, uh, but they'll get young people, young kids to go commit some of the more heinous crimes
correct.
because they can't get charged.
Right. Hey, that's not new.
No.
That's been going on
So I
for
think part of the law or part of that amendment was to help combat that.
did not pass.
No,
Well, I'm
nothing. No,
amazed
I'm
that
talking about like 65 to 35.
well, I mean, golly, it seemed like one side was way more motivated than they were saying that
Yeah.
that's either a messaging or a turnout problem because you got a state where I don't think it was even particularly close the election, right? Statewide election.
No, no,
I
not even.
mean,
He won it.
Landry
He
won.
won it in the first round, which never happens.
Yeah. So that's you know, I think people get politic fatigued, and you're going to see that. Like right now, I think like the GOP is probably going to lose some races that they
Yeah.
would not normally because everybody's high fiving and think like, oh, we won everything. You know, the we
Mhm.
saying if you're speaking for the GOP, but yeah, interesting times. Did you see? I saw another one just maybe. When I say I chuckle, I'm not chuckling that people lost their jobs. I'm just chuckling that this thing even existed. So one of the things they're shutting down stuff that you didn't even know existed, and even people around DC didn't really. So the administration just is shutting down the U.S. Institute of Peace.
Oh, did not know that.
They had a nice building, really nice building, and it's been around for decades. The U.S. Institute of Peace, and one of the lines I read, something Trump made a comment about, didn't work. They haven't stopped any wars.
Yeah.
You know, I know. And like I said, it's not, but that's the other thing too. You can be all for shutting down wasteful crap. And that's not necessarily a reflection on, I'm not hating on the people that might lose their jobs,
But
but
this
it's
is
like,
the
hey,
whole
you know
thing.
what? If where you are is nothing but a scam and that's what half this stuff is, I'm sorry.
That's
You know,
life, man.
go
That is
find, go,
life.
yeah. Hopefully there'll be enough other stuff coming with, factories being built and whatever. You go get a job,
Go learn the code.
but that's what they told everybody else.
All right.
I didn't. Nothing gets more coverage than when the journalists lose a job. Boy, howdy, we hear about that. But the same thing when they shut down when they ran thousands and thousands and thousands of small businesses out of business during COVID with some of the most
Right.
ridiculous. You didn't see all. You might see them now and then, but you didn't see all the Crimea River stories about these poor people that lost their jobs. Nor when they shut like drilling and stuff. Like you talk about, it's like South Louisiana stuff when they do stuff that decimates the
Right.
energy
No,
business.
it's the government jobs, which is the oddest thing in the world because nobody respects government employees. Everybody likens them to the highway workers.
Well, and if you want to, exactly, you want to hear, and this is not even, man, I'm not even picking on anybody. You want to hear somebody talk trash about a government job or whatever? Ask somebody who works for the government,
Yeah.
and they'll flat out tell you the idiots and morons and no shows and
Well, that's again, how can people, they're cutting budget at LSU in anticipation of stuff. Yeah, they ain't cutting nothing they need. I guarantee you that. But so people get raise hell out of that. And this is the thing. If you liken that to how you live your life, well, if my bills are more than my income, it's a whole lot easier to cut my bills than it is to quickly grow my income.
But it's a lot easier when you have the opportunity if somebody just gave you credit cards that you didn't have to pay for, and you just start putting everything on the credit card because somebody
did you
else.
see some of the stuff with Doge this week that they said that basically the number of government issued credit cards was about 50 to 60% more than the number of government employees.
eligible employees. Yeah. It's bizarro world when they start talking about exactly how everything.
Right, and people want to talk about they're cutting research on health things, and so another thing they pointed out was all of these research institutes have different computer systems. None of them can talk to each other. There's no sharing of research data, which means they're all just duplicating, or they don't have access to the benefit that somebody else has already discovered.
It's a nice system when you benefit from it, and
Yeah.
it's changing. We'll see. Hopefully they'll get, don't wish anything bad on anybody, but pardon the rest of the country for saying, yeah, I got no problem with that. What do we shut down?
I
Yeah.
don't. And the same thing with, look, man, I grew up on a farm. Why the hell are we paying farmers to not grow stuff?
Because Juan,
so,
here's the official response from our government on that. Shut up.
yeah.
That's the argument. That's the argument. Why hang on a second. How does this work again? You take my money to, well, the big one now, I know we got to get on out of here. We hit our time, but the one that's going to be interesting to see if they pull it off, because now they're coming hard after RFK Jr. They're threatening it. They're like, oh, we're going to cover all kinds of stuff on him because he is about to touch the big time third rail with pharmaceutical advertising. And let me tell you something. If they do what most of this country would be for, do not allow direct to consumer marketing of pharmaceuticals like every other country in this world besides New Zealand bans, because it's just a bad thing. If they stop that, it's not because people are watching these commercials and bothering their doctors. It's because this is just paying off the media and paying off.
Dude, yeah. I mean, if you think about it, just watch one TV show for 1 hour, or watch 1 hour TV, especially network TV, and check off how many of the commercials are,
including Fox, bro,
for pharmaceuticals,
including Fox. So hey, it's all of them. All of them. Yeah, they cut off pharmaceutical money to the networks. You can start seeing retirements left and right. You're going to see a lot of stuff going on. And I will say, most of the country is like, hey, so be it. But you know what? I'm going to cut.
Yeah, but we're too dumb to understand.
Right.
If you don't curse, but we'll understand all these commercials.
That's right. Hey, we try that sometimes, Juan. We'll raise ratings and just start dropping cuss words left and right. No, we won't, Americans. We respect you too much. In fact, we respect you enough to respect your time. We'll get on out of here. We're going to push the button. Get on out of here. See if this stuff stuck to the magic tape up in the sky. We do hope it did. If you want to reach us, not too hard, y'all. It's Dave and Juan at protonmail.com.
And right here.
Right here. Wherever you at. Wherever you is, be here again next week. That's where we will be again. Unless Juan forgets to load it and then just, cut us some slack. Cut us some slack and we'll get back to it. Every week we tell you, not a hint, suggestion, subtle implication. Yo, it's a freaking
mandate, man.
Live your best life. Live your best life. You might be Governor Landry. Coming out annoyed as all get out that those amendments were shot down.
Shot down and slammed down
by a state that is apparently conditioned for failure. You know what he's going to do today? Slap on one of them blue suits.
Go back at it. Have a good day.
Probably go back up to D.C. and hang out with Trump some more. He's in D.C. all the time. Yeah. Man, I hope he's got a condo up there. Good grief, man. He's hey, more power. Hey, look, he's trying to get it done, y'all. Trying to get it done. Yeah, like I said, he's going to get on up and figure
out. He probably got a room in the Department of Peace.
That's right. There's a lot of real estate opening up in D.C. right now for, there were empty buildings before, right? Nobody was going back to work. Everybody's been working remote, but all right. Anyway, so yeah, there it is, guys. We hope you all have a fan. You alls. That's why they introduced me to people at these fancy events. You got to hear this guy.
Dude's from Louisiana.
Louisiana. They let him in here, man. And not just Louisiana, bro. He's from Disneyland, part of Louisiana.
Yeah, exactly.
Cut off. Come in and do some tricks. Throw some coyais at us while you're here. Anyhow, have a fantastic one, everybody. We'll get together next week and compare notes and do it all over again. All right? We good? Everybody? All right. Love you, bro.
Back at you, dude. So this was a Baton Rouge week in the Baton Rouge area school systems. So on Monday and Tuesday, one of the private schools here, Baptist private school, was closed for 2 days because of multiple bomb threats
Nice.
being called in. Yeah, we'd had a bomb threat when we were in school. It's like, first of all, how could you have called it in? Um,
And it's easy to trace. Latelco
Yeah.
would have been all over that.
So, but then on the Wednesday, one of the public schools had a big old gang fight. I'd say big old. 6 girls got arrested for fighting, with a potential for more, and some of the parents were probably going to get charged.
So it was a big
Then
old gang
Friday,
fight. Were these big old girls, or you were talking about?
I don't know.
You're
I don't
talking
know.
about
It
the
was
size
just
of the participants, or the number of
based on the
group?
school. I'm going to guess on the size of the participants.
Okay.
Then on Thursday, the next day, another school, this one in Ascension Parish, though, a Baton Rouge suburb, had another girl group fight. Or no, 3 different fights. So they had 6 girls got arrested there. I think it's all because we're kicking the Department of Education.
I think so. We need another department, bro. What you gonna do? Y'all shot down those amendments. What you gonna do? What? How do you say that? Conditioned for failure. Why y'all want to be that way? Condition. Hang on. That's what he said, right? Conditioned for failure. Conditioned for failure.
I like that line, though.
Be a good plug for the Baton Rouge schools. Baton Rouge, we give you a fighting chance.
Yeah.
Give you
I did talk and I talked to a former educator, and he's retired, and I asked him, I said, because I think now he teaches adult literacy or something as a volunteer. I said, so what do you think about that whole, we came out like 16th or whatever place Louisiana came out in reading a month or 2 ago. And he said something wrong with that. He said, I don't think you can talk to a teacher who would believe that. And I said, well, a friend of mine said, we just failed at failing.
Oh no, we suck again.
Yeah.
It's over. Go home.